The time has come. It is officially time to dive into Green Bay Packers mock draft season. Last year we went through 10 weeks straight and made 10 different mock drafts before the 2023 draft. But this year it's going to be even more. Starting this week, I will do a mock draft for the Green Bay Packers every single week. If my math is correct, that'll be 14 total mock drafts for the Green Bay Packers. You guys smashed the like button on the video where I asked if you wanted a mock draft this week, so here it is. Now, I am going to start with a preliminary 3-round mock draft for the Green Bay Packers with no trades because it's the first one. We're just diving down into draft season. I myself need to continue to watch tape, need to continue to learn these prospects more, and on top of that, the official draft order isn't even finished. Obviously, the Packers picking at 25, that much is locked in, but everything else is up in the air afterwards, and a lot's going to change from now until April, that's for sure. Things such as salary cap, free agency, trades, there's so much that's going to happen, and the needs of the Green Bay Packers very well may change as well. If you happen to be a new viewer and want more Packers news, analysis, and updates every single day on this channel, defensive coordinator watch, salary cap analysis, free agency analysis, and of course a ton of draft content, you can find it all here right on this channel, so go down and click subscribe. Guys, we are so close to 50,000 subscribers. I can't thank you enough. And actually right now, 60% of my viewers are not subscribed. So you could simply go down and click that subscribe button and we could hit 50K today. Do it. That would be absolutely amazing, and I thank everyone who has clicked the subscribe button. All right, so without further ado, let's bring up the draft screen. And of course, we are on our old friend, the PFF mock draft simulator. As we see right now, the Green Bay Packers, we have the 25th pick, the 41st, the 57th, the 88th, and the 91st in our first mock draft. So although it's a 3-round mock draft, the Packers have 5 picks in that span, which is just awesome for this draft. The Packers have so much ammunition to either select a lot of talented players or move around in this draft. And I'll say this, the last 2 drafts by Brian Gutekunst have been home runs in my opinion, especially 2023. I am so beyond impressed with our last draft class. If Gutekunst can do that again this year, I mean, look out. All right, so as I said, there's going to be no trades in this one, but as we get further down the line and we start doing our 7-rounders and things start to format a little bit better, then we'll start doing trades. But for first, like I said, just a preliminary 3-round mock draft, so let's simulate the picks up until the Packers. All right, so let's quickly go over these picks, and it's already hilarious and a Bears move, right? So there's no trades from the computers as well, so that can't happen. I wish that would happen, but it doesn't. Drake May goes number 1 to the Bears. That would just be the complete Bears move here, right? Draft another North Carolina quarterback in the first round. Honestly, I couldn't do anything but laugh in that moment. Then we have the Commanders taking Caleb Williams. Then Malik Neighbors goes to the Patriots as the first wide receiver over Marvin Harrison at 4 to the Cardinals. Brock Bowers to the Chargers. Jaden Daniels to the Giants. Joe Alt to the Titans. Cooper DeJean to the Falcons. Romo Duns to the Bears. Fuaga to the Jets. Nate Wiggins to the Vikings. Jared Verse to the Broncos. Jerzon Newton to the Raiders. Bo Nix to the Saints. Dallas Turner to the Colts. Terrion Arnold to the Seahawks. Fashanu to the Jags. JC Latham to the Bengals. Latu to the Rams. Rakestraw to the Steelers. Now, it just was announced that he's undergoing surgery, so I would guarantee he falls into the second round. Hopefully, he could fall to the Packers pick in the second round, but for right now, he's at 20 to the Steelers. Chris Braswell to the Dolphins. Cooley McKinstry to the Eagles. Brian Thomas to the Texans. And Byron Murphy, the second, to the Cowboys. So right now in PFF, they have the Packers' biggest need as running back, which I just don't agree with. Tackle, I guess a little bit. Defensive line and safety should be over both of those. Like, the Packers have a couple safeties under contract for the upcoming season, being Anthony Johnson Jr., Benny Sapp, and I believe Zane Anderson. So Rudy Ford, Darnell Savage, and John Owens, all impending free agents. And at running back, they have Jones under contract. Yeah, Dillon's an impending free agent. And Jones might not be on the team in 2024. I think he will. But I don't think running back is the top need. And then for tackle, Bakhtiari's technically under contract. Rasheed Walker showed great strides last year. And of course, Zach Tom. So on the draft board, we have Mims at tackle here. Braylon Trice at edge. I think they're pretty much set on edge. They still have, Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, and Igbare, Brenton Cox. Like, yeah, they might draft one in the late rounds, but I would be surprised if they get one early. Troy Franklin at wide receiver. Same thing for wide receiver. The Packers very well could not draft a single wide receiver in this draft. I think they will in the later rounds, but I wouldn't be mad if they didn't. And that's probably about the first time I've been able to say that since like 2010. Jordan Morgan at tackle, Michael Penix at quarterback, and we got a couple safeties here. And these are the two I definitely have my eyes on for round one. That's Cameron Kinchens and Tyler Nubin from Minnesota. Two guys that I do really like in this class. And they will be at right around this spot. Cameron Kinchens at safety for the Miami Hurricane. A lot of people comparing him to Nick Collins. And if he is anything that Nick Collins was before that injury, I am on board for that. We see this year a 67.8, so a little bit down year in terms of PFF grade. From last year, he had a 90.0. Coverage grade, 65.1. Run defense grade, 69.4. 8.8 forced incompletion rate, 13.7% missed tackle rate. Looking at his snaps, he has some versatility. He can play in the slot. I want a versatile guy. I think they bring back Savage and do that with him, but I want another one for whoever the new defensive coordinator is. Kinchens in the slot, 113 snaps. He even played some corner. In the box, 110 snaps, but primarily is a deep safety at 379 snaps, and that's what the Packers need. They need a deep safety. He had 355 coverage snaps, 254 run defense snaps, 52 total tackles, 11 assists, and 10 missed. Now, he was targeted a decent bit last year and did allow a lot of receptions, 28 receptions on 34 targets with a nice passer rating, allowed 4 touchdowns, but did have 5 interceptions. And you watch some of his tape, he's a type of player that can make up lost ground quickly and be a ball hawk on a ball. And I feel like the Packers haven't had a safety that's able to do that in a long time. Then you have Tyler Nubin from Minnesota. Now, he's kind of the opposite. A lower grade last year, a higher grade this year. Coverage grade excellent this year from Minnesota. Run defense good as well, 70.2. Low missed tackle rate. Extremely high forced incompletion rate. And we see he has a little bit of versatility as well, not as much. 84 snaps in the slot, 198 in the box, and 468 deep. He's only allowed 6 receptions this year on 20 targets with 5 interceptions, 4 forced incompletions, a passer rating of 39.6. So although I have both of these guys ranked very similarly, and I would honestly love either of them in the Packers defense, I think I give a slight edge to Cameron Kinchens. I feel like he's going to be more pro-ready at safety in the NFL, like a day one starter. I think both of them could, but I think Kinchens has a better chance of succeeding in that role, and he's more versatile. And we don't really know what the Packers defense is going to look like right now, or what scheme they're going to run, or what they're going to want to run. So this is a little bit difficult to choose between the two. So if I were to simply just choose one that I think can get plugged in day one and be a safety, a deep box, or a deep safety, a box safety, a slot guy for the Green Bay Packers, it would be Cameron Kinchens. So with our first pick and our first ever 2024 Green Bay Packers mock draft, it is going to be safety Cameron Kinchens out of Miami. So now we're right back on the board at pick 41. This is the Jets pick we got from the Aaron Rodgers trade. Surprisingly, Michael Penix still on the board here. Don't see him falling to 41, but in that case, we're going to go ahead and draft. I'm just joking. Don't worry, guys. I'm just joking. We're not going to be drafting a quarterback. Can you imagine, though? Like second round, he falls to 41. The Packers go ahead and select them. Lad McConkey here at wide receiver, Xavier Leggett at wide receiver, 2 really nice wide receivers. There's other safeties on the board such as Kalen Bullock, and there's also cornerback Kalen King. I know, K King cornerback, probably triggering some of you if we were to take him, but it is someone I'm looking at. Then we also have Chris Jenkins on the defensive line from Michigan here. All right, so since there's no trades in this one, it's kind of came down to 2 players, cornerback Kalen King. Now, we did just get a defensive back that can play some nickel corner. The Packers still have Jair. They have Ballantyne, and Eric Stokes if he can get healthy. Like, I see cornerback as a big need for the Green Bay Packers, but I've also been saying this, like, the entire season. The Packers need to add one more run defensive lineman into this new defense with a new defensive coordinator and really just start to mold this defense to be able to stop the run, something that they've struggled with for a very long time. And I think someone like Chris Jenkins out of Michigan would be a perfect add to this defensive line with all the other talent they have with Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, TJ Slayton, Colby Wooden. If you added like one more solid run defense guy here, and Chris Jenkins, as we see here, run defense 82.3 and a very high run stop rate at 12.6%, but can also get after the passer. I think he'd be an awesome add. 6'3", 305. I think he fits into whatever the Packers defense will become, regardless of scheme. and just adding a guy like that I think would be awesome. So here in round 2, going to double dip into this defense. I know, 2 early picks to the defense yet again, but we're going to go with Chris Jenkins, defensive line from Michigan. Now we have our other pick, the original Packers pick here in round 2 at pick 57, and this one's going to be pretty easy for me because I think he's great value here, and that's going to be Jackson Powers Johnson, center with guard versatility from Oregon, and we see how good he's been over the past 2 years. A pass block grade of 90.6, run block grade up there as well, so he's not just a pass blocker like Josh Myers, right? The Packers should restart, right? Get another center in the second round. They messed up on the first time getting Myers over Creed Humphrey. Maybe they can do it right this time. But there's also Zach Frazier down here who's been good as well. But I think Jackson Powers Johnson is just the better overall center. Plus, like I said, he gives you versatility. He had 350 snaps at right guard last year, and he had 829 at center this year. He has versatility. The Packers, we know, obviously love that. And I think they need to add talent early in this draft into the interior of that offensive line. John Runyon Jr., an impending free agent. Sean Ryan, potentially the right guard starter, but you need competition there. Josh Myers, potentially starter at center. You need competition there. So this one's an easy pick for me for our second pick in the second round, and that is center Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon. All right, now to round things out in the final round of this first mock draft, the Packers have 2 third-round picks as well, one from Buffalo and one of their own. So first we were sitting here at pick 88, and a very obvious pick is on the board for me right here, and that is Blake Corum. Here are the facts. A.J. Dillon is an impending free agent for 2024. Aaron Jones is going to be 29 and is due $17 million on the cap. I want Aaron Jones to remain. Hopefully they can lower that cap number, whether it's a restructure or another pay cut, which I don't expect or want Aaron Jones to do. You know, he's earned his money, but $17 million for a running back is absolutely insane in terms of a cap hit. So regardless of what happens, if the Packers move on from A.J. Dillon, just keep Aaron Jones or whatever, I still think they need to add another running back into this roster, and Blake Corum in the third round would be excellent value. I mean, just look at this guy, right? Last year, 96.2 PFF grade, 1,461 yards, 18 touchdowns. Then he had a knee injury. He bounced back wonderfully, 1,245 yards, 27 touchdowns, and won Comeback Player of the Year, and was pretty much the reason, or one of the main reasons, why Michigan won the national championship. Blake Corum, I think, is absolutely insane value here in the third round. And I would just love him in this Packers offense as a number 2 back and a future number 1 running back for this young offense under Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, all this other young talent. Adding a guy like Blake Corum, 5'8", 213 pounds. He's such a solid runner. Probably the best running back coming out of this class, in my opinion. And some people may not like Blake Corum, but I think in the third round, man, I'm completely on board. I think third, fourth, fifth round is like the money zone for drafting a running back. I'd even sometimes say third is too early, but if it's someone like Blake Corum, I am completely on board. And I think this would be a massive pick for this offense. So here in third round at pick 88, we are going to go Blake Corum, running back out of Michigan. Here at our last pick at pick 91, I am going to go after another defensive back, but this time a cornerback. And there's some options here. We have Dwight McLaughlin from Arkansas, who had a wonderful PFF grade last year, 91.3, primarily an outside cornerback, allowed 2 touchdowns, had 3 interceptions, only allowed a 51.2 passer rating, a 6'2", tall, rangy cornerback, 188 pounds, a senior from Arkansas. We also have Jarian Jones here from Florida State, if we wanted to add like a true slot nickel corner, as we see 394 snaps in the slot, 29 at corner. So this guy would go plug right in at nickel corner. Keyshawn Nixon is an impending free agent, and even if they bring him back, I don't want him as starting nickel. Wonderful coverage grade this year, 87.0, an overall grade of a 90.1. He allowed 0 touchdowns, had 3 interceptions, only allowed 16 receptions on 32 targets, so a 50% completion rate, and allowed only a passer rating of 25.3. If you look at his man coverage grade at 90.7, I mean, this guy is a baller in man coverage, and I think it would just be an awesome guy to add to this defense with Cameron Kinchins to whoever the new defensive coordinator is going to be. It's going to give him a versatile box deep, also some nickel safety, and then also a pure slot nickel cornerback that I think the Packers desperately need because they run nickel so much, and the new defensive coordinator likely will do the same thing due to the personnel they have, and adding someone like Jarian Jones here I think would be awesome. 6 foot, 191 pounds, a redshirt senior, has a ton of experience, also has played outside, 376 snaps outside last year, 372 the year before. So in a pinch, yeah, you could put him outside, but where he's succeeded the most, and you can clearly tell this by his stats here this year, is in the slot. So this one's an easy pick pick for me. I think this would also be a wonderful pick here at 91. So we're going Jarrian Jones, cornerback out of Florida State. All right, so that does it for our first ever Green Bay Packers mock draft of 2024. As I said, just a 3-rounder to start as a preliminary mock draft. We'll get into the 5 rounds, the 7 rounds as we go on. But let's go over this one really quickly. Cameron Kinchens is our first pick at 25. I think he's a pro-ready safety. I think he'd be a plug-and-play, versatile type of safety for this new defense, and I think he would excel exceptionally in this defense. Round 2, we go Chris Jenkins. I've been saying it. The Packers are like one more run defensive lineman away from being a tremendous defensive line. And Chris Jenkins would add just that to this room. In round 2, pick 57, we go Jackson Powers Johnson. I think adding an interior offensive line that has versatility at center and guard and could potentially contest to start at both spots, I think would be great for the Green Bay Packers. Jackson Powers Johnson, I love this pick here at 57. I think there's tremendous value there. Also at 88, tremendous value in my opinion for Blake Crum. They need to add another running back. We don't know what's happening with Dylan. Aaron Jones is 29, do a lot of money. Regardless of what happens, they need to add a running back, and what's better than Blake Crum here in the 3rd round. Then finally, wrap things up with another great pick in my opinion, Jarrian Jones. I think that's awesome value there. He's one of the better nickel guys coming out of this draft class, and the Packers need that. Yes, they could move Jair to the nickel and run Stokes, Valentine, or whoever else they draft, or maybe draft an outside guy. But I think if you draft a pure nickel guy that can clearly do that, it would be awesome for this new defense, new defensive coordinator. So that rounds out the first ever 3-round mock draft, but it's, 5 picks. The Packers have so much draft capital in the early portion of this draft, and I'm super, super excited for this draft. Let me know what you think down in the comments about this first ever draft. As I mentioned, I will be doing one every single week until draft weekend, so be on the lookout for that on this channel. If you could, please leave a like down below. It supports my channel a ton, but I'll catch you on the next one, and as always, go Pack Go.